Y'all, Newsweek came out today and declared that the boycott of Bud Light wasn't going to have any effect. As a matter of fact, their stock price had already weathered any storm it was going to see. To that, I have two questions. One, how do you know before the quarterly earning reports come out? And how do you explain this?
I'm Bear Grylls, completely lost in a desert, and without water for 3 days. I have a decision to make. Drink my urine or this cold Bud Light I miraculously stumbled across. For me, the choice was simple. As horrible as it was still better than that god-awful beer.
Weird. Miller door, Bud door. What do you got there, Mark?
Just some trash.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead, take care of that. Thank you.
What is going on, everybody? Wired here. I hope you guys are all having an excellent, wonderful day. And once again, I'm back to talk about the whole Bud Light controversy that has been taking the nation by storm. It is now, I think, day 37 of the boycott since it's officially launched, and Bud Light is suffering dearly from it. So I came across this article about Chicago gay bars boycott Bud Light after Anheuser-Busch walks back Dylan Mulvaney disaster. And this is something that everybody saw coming. When you get involved with identity politics, you're honestly always going to piss somebody off one way or the other. And by partnering with Mulvaney, or at least putting them on a can and having them do that sponsorship on Instagram, they alienated a huge chunk of their customer base. A lot of right-wing conservatives, a lot of, moderates, I think even sensible leftists are tired of this identity politics getting pushed into every company. And they went silent on this for a long while. They tried to do ads with like the Clydesdale horses, the whole 9/11 thing, and it didn't really help their sales. So the CEO came out, disavowed Mulvaney, and now, of course, a day later, the left is pushing back, saying, well, this is disgraceful. You need to stand by trans people, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to get into this article in a second. I want to really quick play a clip for you, and then I'm going to give my take on it, because I've actually been personally affected by this in the last day, actually. So here, take a look.
Why at least 5 prominent gay bars in Chicago say you won't be able to buy Anheuser-Busch products at their businesses. This is your morning rundown. I'm Kai Martin. Today is Friday. It's May 5th, 2023, and here's what's happening right now. Several gay bars in Chicago announced they will stop selling Anheuser-Busch products. This is in response to how the company is handling backlash from a Bud Light campaign with a transgender influencer. Some conservatives began boycotting the brand a month ago when Dylan Mulvaney created a sponsored post promoting Bud Light. The company released a statement that made no direct mention of the LGBTQ community, and the marketing executives behind the campaign with Mulvaney were put on leave. Then yesterday, the Belgian-American conglomerate's CEO minimized the company's involvement in the sponsored post with the influencer, saying, quote, it wasn't a campaign. In response to that, some of Chicago's largest gay bars now say they will no longer sell Anheuser-Busch products. Both Sidetrack in North Halsted, as well as Two Bears Hospitality Group, which operates several establishments in Uptown, say they will stop selling any beer made by the company, including the local brand Goose Island.
Yeah, so as you can get from that clip, they're essentially screwed. The customer base they tried to pander to, that they tried to get, they have now alienated by that statement. Meanwhile, the customer base they already had, they've also alienated. And their sales in cans and in bottles, across distributors, across bars, across stadiums even, I did a story on that not too long ago, is down overall about 26-27%. I think that's as of Friday. It might have dropped lower now, because I don't see any shortage of this boycott letting up. There are still people making TikToks about it. There are still people reporting on this every day. It is still a very hot button issue. I know I went to my local Sheetz, and I can see, Coors and Miller, there's not that many cans there, but it's got 2 rows all the way back. You go into the walk-in freezer, there's just all these cases of Bud Light. Now, they could have just put them there, I'm sure. Maybe they just restocked that specific thing, but it doesn't seem like people are really buying this. And I think there's always going to be, at least in the short term, for a couple months at least, a negative stigma around drinking Bud Light, because it has created such controversy. But now they've even alienated the people they were trying to get by the CEO coming out and saying, hey, we're not really partnering with Mulvaney. We don't really agree with everything they say. Well, of course, that's pissed off the left, and now they no longer want to sell the beer either. So here we go. A group of Chicago gay bars will no longer sell Bud Light after Anheuser-Busch distanced itself from Mulvaney. Bud Light and AB Anheuser-Busch have faced incredible scrutiny and outrage after the beer brand teamed up with the transgender activist whose entire brand seems to be mocking women for a March Madness promo. I would say they were mocking women way before that. Their first TikTok of day one of being a girl, not a woman, a girl, their words. Go look it up. Honestly, this whole thing started out as a mockery of women. I don't know how it took off, unless, misogyny, perhaps. But it's definitely been fascinating. The backlash was swift and unrelenting. As a result, Anheuser-Busch InBev CEO Michael Ducaris attempted to distance the brand from Mulvaney this week. This was the result of one can. It was not made for production or for the sale to the general public. It was one post, not a formal campaign or advertisement. Well, my whole question would be then, why would you even do it? What's the point? Why are you wasting time and resources to put this person's face on a can? And I don't know the process of making a can. Maybe it's not that difficult to do. They already got the templates and stuff like that. But it just seems a little bit silly to me unless you're actually trying to make a campaign out of this. Now, I could be completely wrong here. I don't know. But it does seem like a lot of time and effort for really no reason or no gain at all. Actually, a tremendous loss. Clearly, he doesn't want anything to do with Mulvaney. And ABC CEO Brennan Whitworth's previous comments also made it clear the brand would like to move on. Well, I'm sure they would. And this is their... They release Our Responsibility to America. Pretty much, this is a nothing burger apology. Just saying, listen, you need to keep buying our product because, we employ a lot of people in the U.S. And that's true, they do. And I do feel for those people. It's not their fault. Their corporate overlords have screwed them over. And, I'm kind of torn with that. But I don't think of just buying a product just to support the people who work there, unfortunately. I mean, this is a little bit bigger than them. And I hope all of them can retain their jobs. I really do. I never want to see anybody become unemployed. That's a horrible feeling to have. And I'm sure there are a lot of good workers there who have done absolutely nothing wrong in this situation. But they're going to suffer due to their corporate overlords, and, they'll be the first ones cut. So I'm not falling for that whole sob story either. Now here we go. In reaction to Whitworth's comments from several weeks ago and two executives having to take leave after the fallout, Two Bear Taverns Group announced on Thursday discontinuing all Anheuser-Busch InBev products, including Busch Light, Bud Light, and Goose Island 312. Anheuser-Busch's decision to drop its support of Mulvaney in response to ignorant and hateful objection by some of its customers shows how little Anheuser-Busch cares about the LGBTQIAXYZ plus community, and in particular, trans people who have been under relenting attack in this country. Again, that's not true. I think actually trans people are the most protected classes in this country right now. They have the highest victim status. I mean, look at the Leah Thomas thing with Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines cannot go onto a college campus and speak freely about her own lived experience and how she felt uncomfortable in a locker room with a biological man while having a mob come after her. Leah Thomas is celebrating for invading a sport when they were like 463rd in the men's league. Again, not to say that trans people should not have, their own categories in sports. I'm not opposed to that, but as long as they're over 18, I just think they should have their own leagues. I don't think there's anything bigoted or hateful about that. I don't really understand that argument, but some people are going to say that about me, and they can. Apparently, if you don't support Dylan Mulvaney's shtick of mocking women and acting like a little girl, you sow hate and division. Yeah, exactly. This is an insane overreaction. To be clear, there doesn't seem to be anybody saying Anheuser-Busch shouldn't be sold to gay or transgender people. Not at all. And again, I agree. Nobody's saying that. There is nobody saying that at all. Well, I'm probably one or two really hateful, bigoted people, but the average person, is not. The average person couldn't care less who drinks Bud Light. The problem is obvious, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out. The average Bud Light drinker is a guy who works hard all day and then comes home for a football game and wants a cold beer. Yeah, it's kind of stereotypical, but, it's probably kind of on the money. Dudes crushing Bud Lights want to have a good time. They don't want woke nonsense injected into their beer choice. Instead of acknowledging this obvious fact, VP of Marketing Alicia Heinerscheid claimed to in an interview it was her goal to destroy the Friday reputation of the beer brand. Yeah, and in the same vein, you've completely destroyed your entire brand altogether, and now she's been on administrative leave for about, I think, 3 weeks now, which is a nice way of saying she's been let go because she's cost this company 27% in the past, 5 weeks. The brand collaborated with Mulvaney, and the rest is history. The Bud Light spit in the face of its customers and are now feeling the pain. It has nothing to do with sexual orientation. 100% agree. The entire situation has to do with Bud Light teaming up with a person who mocks women. Remember, the ad was about how Mulvaney, while claiming to be a woman, was too stupid to understand March Madness and sports. Yeah, and I think that's a big problem too. I think I don't know if this backlash would actually be going on if they didn't pick Mulvaney. Yeah, I really don't. Because I think Dylan Mulvaney is a very polarizing figure, however you feel about him. People don't really like the grift. And I think it's pretty obvious to most sensible people that this is a grift. I'm sure there are some people who actually do suffer from gender dysphoria. I'm sure a very, very small amount, but I'm sure some. And if you're over 18 and you want to make your own choices with your own autonomy, I would say, hey, go live your truth, be you. I don't think anyone's going to fault you for it. Mulvaney has not done that. Mulvaney has not gone through the process. They've piggybacked off this movement and they've got incredibly rich for it. And hey, make your bag, good for you. But, you're a very polarizing figure for it. And to say you're getting hate because of that, I think people are more pissed off. I'm sure there are people, generally want to, see bad things happen to Dylan. I'm not one of those people. I just wish Dylan would, kind of go away from the public spotlight. Probably should take a break. Sometimes that's the best thing to do. And I know there are corporate overlords out there. I know I just released a video yesterday. The Best of Budlight Boycott Volume 4, which is just me going through TikToks and, commenting on them and putting them into a thing so people can watch. The video was doing really well. Got 29,000 views in the first 4 hours it was up, which I was like, hey, that's amazing. That's great. People are liking this. Awesome. Thank you so much for watching. And I checked 4 or 5 hours later, it was at 30,000 views. I said, well, that's weird. It only went up 1,000 views in 5 hours, so I checked it. Well, YouTube has censored it. They say it's not appropriate content for people to be watching. And they didn't give me a reason why. So I submitted it. I said, I don't think this is, there's no swearing. There's no hatefulness. I'm not targeting anybody. I'm not saying anything, necessarily bad. I'm just putting together a compilation of the boycott. And I'm waiting on a response right now. But it really makes you think, who's out there and who's protecting these people? They're supposed to be the most protected class. All I'm doing is putting together a compilation of people who are upset about this company's decisions. Well, that's hateful. That's bigoted. I guess just by doing it, which is odd. I will be very interested in YouTube's response, but I do think there's an agenda, and I always think there's an agenda behind the scenes, especially when stuff like that happens. You don't want people to see this stuff. And I don't know why it's a popular topic right now. But I'm going to keep speaking on it regardless. Anyway, that's all I got. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a rant at the end. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you all on the next one. I really appreciate you listening this long. And yeah, that's all I got. Later.